What's going on, everybody? Gonna be working on the Eldar Swooping Hawk. And we got 10 of them. And what the plan is we're gonna finish them tonight, hopefully. So if you're just tuning in, give a second here, see if people want to join the chat. The idea is let's get these guys done. We got 10 of them. They're getting there. We got to highlight the gold. We got to highlight the teal. Possibly do the wings. Definitely highlight the bigger feathers on the wings. And yeah, they're looking pretty cool. Got to dry brush the rocks on the bases. And painted a bunch of the gemstones. Got them looking pretty good. And they actually, when they're not on camera, they look even maybe a little better. So we'll wait a second, see if anybody jumps in while I get some of the paint situated here. I'm not going to use the wet palette until the next project, so we'll probably just use the old handy back of my plastic cup. And I think I'm going to start it off with the coils, because there's the possibility we won't like this, so we might end up having to change it later. And we're going to go with Murderous Magenta from P3. It's like a super bright pink. I'm not 100% sure we're going to love this, but we're going to give it a try. And I'm thinking a kind of purple plasma coil on the guns. Oh, better get a little water cup going. And that'll be my water cup there. And I'm using a size 4 ghost brush here. It's got a nice point. One of the reasons things kind of slow down later on in the steps is because you don't want to mess up anymore, right? You start to reach a point where you're tired of fixing all your little mistakes. And you'd like to just get them done. That's where the swooping hawks are for me right now, is I'm pretty much ready for them to be done. The reason I'm going with the purple magenta color here is only because it's a big contrast to the yellow gold armor. So I think that'll look pretty nice. But you could probably go with a blue and just keep adding more and more blue details to match all the wings and gems. Could have gone with like a fiery orange, kind of on the same side of the color wheel as the yellow gold, but a much more saturated, bright version. But yeah, it's going to be, I don't know exactly how we're going to finish the coils. But I think if we get them base coated and washed, that'll be a good start. And then we can figure it out later. Trying to keep the paint relatively thin because I want it to kind of naturally flow in between the grooves of these coils. Without necessarily having to put my brush in each spot. If you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to comment down below if you're watching this in the future. Or, of course, jump in the chat. I'm checking it. So Inquisitor Zane in the building. What's going on? Pretty good. I just filmed a patina video for some nice bronze patina. And now we're trying to invoke the killer instinct of trying to get these swooping hawks done. I always call it the killer instinct, meaning I'm not trying to piddle around and make slight adjustments here and there on colors and little tweaks and overthink color selection anymore. But just put paint on and get them done. Could be a big killer for miniature painting progress if you spend a lot of time stressing over the last 20% of a model. Now, of course, that last 20% of a model means a lot if you're doing a painting competition or things like that. Trying to win best painted. But when it comes to army painting, the overall look is most important, and I think we're actually at a pretty good stage. They look pretty good. So let's just go with our instinct, pick out, oh my lord. My hand just slipped. And I put a nice magenta blob right on a gemstone that I don't want to paint again. But I think I washed it off in time. That's one of the struggles with painting on a stream is you don't necessarily have your hands in the most comfortable position. Because you're trying to keep it on camera. Oh yeah, I also check out what I got in the mail, Zane. Oh, the Unmade showed up. So I really want to, that's what really makes me want to get these Swooping Hawks done, is then I can work on them And I've been building the terrain for Warcry, so I like to get some paint on that, of course. But yeah, my thought here is probably this magenta. Maybe, I don't know if the grooves are deep enough for like a dry brush over this. Maybe just some little line highlights. And then maybe a wash. Potentially could be something I shoot a tiny little burst out of the airbrush on. Just right on each little coil. That's a possibility. But yeah, I'd like to finish them tonight if at all possible. Now, that being said, I'm really just finishing up these tiny little details. So it's hard to say how long exactly that's going to take. I didn't make it over in time, but how was the Frost and Fist stream tonight? Good times? I was over at my parents' house playing with my dogs and hanging out with them a bit. And also I get my Amazon packages shipped over there just because I have an apartment here and I don't want to deal with them potentially leaving it like in front of my apartment door. And then it may be getting stolen. Also, what are you working on tonight? But yeah, I think the purple or magenta color here is going to work pretty nice. Just for that little contrasting pop color on their gun. We're just going to have to decide how we're going to make that like a heat effect. Which we'll probably actually decide later on in the evening. It'll just be something I'm thinking about in the back of my mind while I'm working on some of these other little details. They got like these little tassels on their hands here. Some little tassels on their feet I still got to do. Oh, also in the same package as my unmade, my micro HDMI cable came in, which means I believe I can hook my other camera up for streaming. So that could be really cool. We could actually maybe be streaming from the Panasonic camera. I'll have to start hitting up the YouTube videos to see how that's done. think we're going to go with like a cool gray color. We'll go with Celestra gray, my go-to favorite gray. Once I track it down, just for the little tassels on their feet. Do you have a resin 3D printer or whatever the other kind's called? We're just doing Celestra gray, and we're just going to hit these little, something on my brush. Hit these little tassels. Still using the size 4 ghost brush, but actually for these little tassels, surprisingly, it might be easier to go with a little fatter tip instead of a pointy tip, but we'll decide after a few if we want to just use the pointy tip or go with maybe a fatter brush. We can just almost dab it on. But yeah, basically I have just a rough idea of like, okay, we'll block in some colors here and there. Maybe they'll get a wash, maybe they won't right now, but we'll move on and hopefully get these bad boys either ready for varnish or like maybe they just need their final little touches. But I really am going to try to go for ready for varnish tomorrow. So hopefully that means everything is done. Yeah, usually the lines in those plastic printers look pretty terrible, I think. But I've seen people printing them maybe at like a lower definition or something. But I've seen some really bad looking 3D printed models. And people are like, oh, look at this. I printed a Space Marine Rhino, and you look at it and you're like, ugh. Looks literally like worse than a Green Army man. They're like, yeah, it only took 30 hours. But I'm sure there's ways to tweak it or better printers. Although I have seen some really nicely done terrain. And I know with terrain, there's ways to use like sanding and gap filler primers and stuff to really help remove all those lines. I switched over to the indestructible size 6 ghost brush here. It's funny, these felt a little sturdier early on, but now that I've been painting them for a while, they actually even just feel more fragile. Probably just because that one fell off and broke at the ankle. Now I feel like they're all ready to break. For these little tassels on their forearm, I actually don't have that planned at all. Oh yeah, the cultists were sweet. Yeah, the little details on these guys' forearms. This guy's got quite a bit of extra details. He's got like a satchel thing, a little. Actually, looks like he has a gem in his armpit for some reason. I guess it's hanging from his bandolier or whatever that's called. So we might actually have to still do one more gem. But this guy's probably got the most little details. He's got full-on big feathers coming off his forearm. And then a little bit of decorative ones up there on that forearm. And I've been thinking about it as I've been working on these models. And I can't really think of how I want to approach those. Could do blue again. Just keep adding little blue details. Definitely not a terrible idea. Could hit it with a contrast paint and let the underlying metallic gold kind of turn whatever the contrast layer is into like a metallic. I don't think I mind that idea either. Maybe we'll try that real quick. I think we might give that a try. We're going to test out Pterodon turquoise just over one of those little forearm things. See what it looks like. We'll go on this guy. The X-Art can look a little different anyway because he's special. What I'm talking about is these forearm ridges or whatever. And they're actually just little feathers. And I'm going to say I'm not mad at that. I think we can work with that. It's nothing too exciting, but it's enough happening that maybe we could just leave it there for now and call it done. That is Pterodon turquoise over our gold workup. I think one thing that helps make it work is that it's a turquoise color. And we've been kind of messing around with turquoise. This would also be a good wash or shadow to reinforce this edge. Or maybe even, ooh, you know what? Maybe this is the color we use to alternate those wings. Eh? That way we don't have to do much more than just a single coat of this contrast paint. That's not a bad idea. Pterodon turquoise. Gonna save us. I think it's still going to be kind of a delicate step. And we might, yeah, so we'll just knock all these out, the little forearm things, with the size 6, and then we'll go back to the size 4 with the nice point, and that way we can do a little bit more crisp lining. On all those wing feathers. And that'll tie it all together, I think, really nice. So that's going to save us quite a bit of time, I think. Once again, contrast paint to the rescue. Yeah, and we kind of just came to that conclusion because we're just trying to work in this kind of blue-teal range. And that's just hopefully going to keep the kind of color scheme unified and look like it belongs together. And of course, in the future, we still have room to come back and highlight or repaint these little arm feathers. We won't, but we could. Yeah, I could definitely see the small details like a face wrinkle not showing up, especially if it's already, leaving the kind of striation lines just from the printing process. It'd have to make such a subtle movement in the machine to put just such a tiny little more plastic out. That way it could do the wrinkle. These guys, I actually haven't done anything to their eyes. I just let the washes kind of darken them. And I think that's where they're going to stay. The old Eldar eyes are little teeny tiny triangles. And when we highlight, we'll maybe try to highlight around the eye a little bit. And that hopefully gives us some definition. I think to have truly amazing painted Eldar, though, I'm going to have to probably do those eye lenses. But we'll try to get away with it with just highlighting around the eye and leaving them dark. I actually didn't highlight the lenses on the Dire Avengers either, because they also have teeny tiny little triangle eyes. It's not like a Space Marine that has like a pretty decent size eye opening that you can fit a brush, but these guys have teeny tiny probably can't see, but teeny tiny little kind of triangular openings in their helmet where their eyes are, and then a even smaller little like triangle for the lens of the eyeball. All right, let's get out the pointier brush. I guess attack some wings. This is going to probably be a slightly tedious. Oh, spilled my water. Not a good sign when you're doing really delicate work if you're already knocking over stuff. All right, this might not even be worth it. Well, it's darkening them. Probably not worth it for camera, though. I got to hold my breath on every one. Oh, boy. We'll just do one, and then we'll maybe do this later. And you can see there's a, probably actually wouldn't even be a bad idea to alternate it again and hit it with the big feathers too with the same thing. But this is no joke as far as how much time this is going to take for a model. Oh, man. Especially if we hit the bigger wing too, or the bigger part of the wing. But it does look better. All right, so we know what we're going to do there. Maybe I'll occasionally bounce back to doing that. I'm going to do it. I'll do it to all of them, but I don't know if I have to do it all on camera. I think that might be a little tedious for everybody. But yeah, I think that's going to look good. Now the question is it going to look better if I alternate the big feathers too with that same process? Or does it look good enough with just the littler ones alternating? That's the hard questions. A 100 tubes of super glue. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes I buy the big packs from Harbor Freight where they're pretty cheap, and then I use them for, but not that cheap. This one, super glue gel from Harbor Freight, comes in like an 8-pack, I think, for like a couple bucks. They're small and they're really runny super glue, but they're really good for like just dumping super glue onto bases and making basing material or gluing on basing material like cork and stuff. All right, so I know how I'm going to paint the wings, which means I probably don't want to highlight the turquoise just yet. So maybe we can highlight some gold. Actually, we're going to go to our jet exhaust, I think, and touch up. Yeah, we'll go to jet exhaust here and touch up any metallic on the guns that need to be touched up. Go back to the size 6 here. There's a few spots on the guns where they got gold on them, or like the gemstone paint, or not. We didn't use gemstone paint, but the gemstone technique I used was a little sloppy. And it doesn't have to be too crazy, but maybe try to re-hit the little caps on the tubes. I don't even know if I'm necessarily going to highlight the metal on these guns. It's kind of the only dark part of the miniature, and I kind of want to keep it dark. Just because it helps break up the bright gold quite a bit. If I do highlight, I'm not going to a bright silver, but I could go a little bit brighter than this. At least on maybe the top of the barrel here. I think we're going to actually just put metal down there. It's kind of a sculpting error down there. So we got to paint it as something, and it looks a little too stark bright gold. You can't see it, but and here we go. We've already been going for 38 minutes, and it still feels like we're no closer to finishing these Eldar. Well, scratch that. It definitely feels like we're closer to finishing them, but it still feels like there's a lot to do. But yeah, if I could get them based and varnished tonight, I would be able to, take photos of them, get them out of the way, and then build up those Warcry guys while I'm building up some terrain. And I think those Warcry guys are going to be fun. I'm going to try really hard on them. Although it's not like I'm not trying really hard on even these Eldar guys. But there's a little bit of corner cutting. Like, I don't think I'm going to actually attempt the lenses yet. Stuff like that. I didn't do every gemstone. Whereas if this was a Warcry warband or a kill team, like a kill team warband of Eldar, then I would do every gemstone and make sure I hit all the little spots. But because this is really just a very small part of a very large army, kind of get that good enough mentality. I don't even know what the heck that's supposed to be. Might be supposed to be like a blue fabric right there, tucked in between the arm and the gun again. Looks like maybe it comes down there. I think we might ignore that. Whereas we wouldn't ignore it if it was a Warcry warband or a kill team or a Necromunda gang. But I think for right now, we're just going to ignore it like it doesn't exist. And we still got to highlight the gold. I don't know what your plan is for the 10-minute Death Guard, but I can't imagine it's a great plan unless you really just want to complete some Death Guard in 10 minutes. But the Death Guard models have so many details. I would think you'd want to spend a little extra time picking out some of those. Or did you just try to blast through it like all contrast paints and just one coat of contrast paint on each detail or something? I'd be skeptical, though. There's no 10-minute paint job that's going to look very good, I can't imagine. I think you're going to want to at least, unless you're trying to just get them done for playing with them and then, you know, go back later and pick out the details, I guess. That's not a bad idea. All right, to break up the monotony of what it would be like to paint all the wings at once, after this step, I'll do another one of their wings. Yeah, he's got that cloth tucked in as well. I guess it's probably the same. Oh yeah, it's just another one of the same sculpt. So it looks like I have two of those sculpts, I think. So if I decide to do that one little cloth that I'm just pretending doesn't exist right now, I only have to do it twice. It's not the end of the world. Would have been nice to do it exactly the same time when I did the other cloth on the model, because I already had all the paints out. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check that out. You have to send me a picture, but I feel like it's worth it to at least spend 30 minutes per guy. The models are expensive. A lot of these guys, maybe all of them, I didn't really pay attention, but they have this little like, I guess ammo pack or grenade. It might be their grenade pack on their thigh. I think that might actually be, yep, we'll just do it now because we got the paint out. That's going to be the same gunmetal as it's jet exhaust as the guns. hopefully on none of them I have to, like, hopefully it doesn't blend in too much right next to the gun itself. And if I remember correctly, on the Swooping Hawks I saw on the GW website, they did paint this metal. Which does seem odd that they, well, actually, I guess for their Swooping Hawks, theirs aren't metal already, whereas mine are. But yeah, right here, this kind of grenade pack is butting up right against the gun. So we'll have to separate that with either some wash or highlight or something. And then once we're done with the Eldar Swooping Hawks, we'll be out of the metallic streams. These metallic painting streams are, it's pretty hard to probably see what I'm doing at all. But maybe if I can get that camera switch, just one of those things when if I was going to sit down and learn how to use, OBS and learn how to get the stream set up a little better. That's the same time I want to sit down at the end of the day and paint. So it's hard to I don't want to paint tonight. I just want to learn about cameras. I know overall it would be better for the channel and the stream, of course. So it is something I'm going to need to dabble in a bit more. Still got these feathers on his hand here, which are much bigger and clearly feathers, not like the little ones on their forearms. So probably have to paint those with some idea that they're realism or something. Pick out these little trinkets. If you like painting trinkets, the Eldar are for you. Covered in them. It's like they put piercings on the end of their gun sometimes. Flare, they put flare on the end of their gun. Oh, I'm glad I didn't overthink these ammo pouches or whatever I'm painting right now and just decided to do this same exact metal as the gun. That's kind of what I mean when I'm saying tonight I want to try to paint with that kind of killer instinct of, let's not fool around with slightly adjusting things as much as let's, work towards getting the model completed. No more unpainted areas. Maybe it doesn't all have the perfect highlight and wash. Well, it'll all have a wash, and it actually would have made sense if I had done this right in the beginning. That way, when I did all those washes, this could have been hit with those washes right alongside with the rest of it. Oh, they're 3D printed Death Guard guys? Do you sell like 3D printed models to people too? That seems like a good way for people to earn money back if they bought a 3D printer, to sell little gaming accessories and models and bits for conversions and stuff to their friends. Looks like we're going to have the perfect amount to finish all our little pouches and then just about not waste any paint. Maybe we'll hit those little pouches with a different wash than we did on the gun. I don't 100% even remember what wash I did on the gun. I'm sure it was just some kind of black wash. Or it might have actually been a black oil wash. I don't remember if I did that. No, I don't think I did. I think it was just probably Death Shroud Clear or normal gloss. Can't remember. But I'll choose something for these pouches. Probably like P3 Armor Wash or Dark Tone or something that hopefully is a different color than I used on the gun, or a slightly different finish or whatever. Just maybe it'll get, it'll separate it. Either way, the wash is going to help separate it. All right, so those pouches are done. Let's knock out another wing. Looks like this is my guy there. Yeah, printing out a fantasy train, I think, is a real moneymaker. I think a lot of people want to play Warhammer and stuff with, cobblestone buildings and all that cool stuff. And D&D also, people, some people want to build the towns and stuff that their players are visiting. All right, back to the size 4 because it's pointy and nice. This step is just a little tedious. I don't have to be overly careful though, because the final step of highlighting the kind of blue teal, I could clean up mistakes probably with my highlight. Seems like we just got to do the wings, highlight the blue, highlight the gold. And I think that's where they're about done. Paint that little belt on the X arc. I'll do that actually maybe after these wings. And just because we're fresh right now, we'll do one more. Then I'll check out that picture you sent me. I think you sent me one. I heard my phone buzz. I'm pretty sure I got it. I mean, I was excited to maybe come back from quarantine with a nicely fully painted Eldar army. Or, somewhere along that route. And then I got too excited about Warcry and I lost track. Now I'm too excited to paint my new Warcry warband and I don't want to work on my Eldar. Which, of course, finishing up this unit will be a nice take a break. Then I'll be on to the Warcry terrain, Warcry warband. And then maybe an Eldar vehicle or Eldar HQ. Actually, I got a unit of 3 Warwalkers. That might not be bad. If I knock out 3 Warwalkers plus 10 Swooping Hawks and 10 Dire Avengers, and then when I knock out an HQ, that's getting me somewhere. I'm getting some points painted up. Yeah, I think people would buy up stuff like that with fantasy buildings and fantasy interiors for dungeons and stuff. Is that picture you showed me dry? Because you can't even, it looks just like brown wash with a gun painted silver. I don't see much of the details. Unless it's like a gloss. Maybe it's really glossy, or the paint's still wet. Or maybe if you hit them with a dry brush and a matte coat to take down all that gloss. Oh, it is super glossy. Yeah, it's hard to see. Just looks like wet, glossy paint. Yeah, I think this Death Guard guy's got so many details, it'd be worth spending some time to pick them out. Especially just long term, the Yeah, well, I definitely struggle with the direct light on glossy because that's why nobody can see anything on my stream, is because the lamp. And I actually have parchment paper over my lamp above me, but it's not working. It's not helping. Can't see nothing. But what I was going to say is, long term, I feel like it's worth it to not only spend the extra time on picking out details and stuff, just so you get the practice of, painting whatever style you want to do. But just putting like the wash over the whole thing, I don't think is going to build any long-term skills. All right, I think we'll do the wings on the Exarch, then his little bandolier, and then maybe the wings on these two guys. Yeah, even if maybe take like an orange and subtly dry brush or stipple it in. That could be cool. Just like for some kind of brighter rust spots, like Ryza rust or something. All right, we'll get the Exarch's wings first, and then to take a break from doing the wings, paint his little bandolier and stuff, and then we got to do these two guys' wings. Oh, these are hard to get to. Can we see? No, we maybe try to get a better angle on the camera, but it's hard to hold on to this guy upside down to get these wings. Yeah, I know this painting these little feathers isn't thrilling content, but I definitely want to try and get these done. Don't expect this video to get many views after it's done. Oh, what about that thing? Is that a wing? That's not really a wing. It's like gold. Whatever. Guess it's a wing now. Probably should have been gold. Or a feather, I should say, not a wing. Now we got to get the inside ones. Oh, this is getting sloppy. He's got such big wings that block getting to the inside of them to paint them. And he's the Exarch, so you want to make him look the best, if possible. Yeah. Well, oh well. Just gonna keep on keeping on. Keep on moving. What I might end up doing is maybe going forward with, after I get these other two guys' wings, maybe go forward with like completing the bases and stuff. Highlighting the gold on all of them. And then maybe off camera, just come back and do the last 6 or so guys' wings. The only problem with that though is I can't highlight this teal color until I have this done. So I'm going to use that highlight to clean this up if I spilled it onto other feathers. All right, good enough. Surprised that this guy's. I thought the big wings would be easier, but they turned out to be actually harder. Yeah, with the gloss coat, I don't know. An all gloss model though, it reflects so much light. It's a lot of times really hard to see what kind of details it even has. Usually, I feel like it's maybe a little better if it's a little more matted down, and then maybe just the gore effects were like a glossy blood or ooze or whatever. I think we're gonna just go wildwood because it's like the darkest contrast brown, and we're just gonna hit this little like bandolier across his chest. I don't remember if any of these guys had like, yeah, I think some of them do have pouches. So we might have to take this wildwood through all of them and pick out any pouches. Not necessarily looking for the realist leather effect as much as just saying this is not gold armor, it's a pouch. No, just putting contrast over a metallic is not the best way to do that. But I'm hoping because we're using the darkest contrast that we can hide it. Okay, that doesn't look all that spectacular, but it does look different than the gold armor, so I guess that's a win. Now let's see what the pouch situation is on these guys. Okay, it doesn't look like he has any. So maybe they don't all have them. This guy does, though. You can see 2 tucked in here. They're tucked back in there enough that I probably could just ignore painting them, but we'll go ahead and do it. As far as when it comes to just getting them done, I could definitely ignore painting them. But when it comes to trying to make them look nice, then, I guess we got to do it. I'm just doing a quick rotation rotate of all the ones sitting over here to my side, since they don't all have pouches, no reason to put them all on the handle. And actually, it seems like almost none of them actually have pouches. Funny, I guess just the one with the that mysterious kind of cloth tucked between his arm and his gun that I haven't painted yet also seems to be the one that has mysterious pouches. And the pouches are actually right up against that cloth underneath the arm. How did I paint that cloth? I think it was Sotek blue or Sotek green. And then Draconoth Nightshade wash watered down. Okay, so that's all the little pouches done. Yeah, it's definitely a hopefully not metallic pouch. See if we can get any more of that jet exhaust if it's not completely dry. And just hit this little buckle or whatever. It's completely dry. We'll just take a little right out of the lid. Hit the buckle. Of course, maybe miss a little bit. Wouldn't it be a terrible idea to hit the edges of this gem with this silver? Because this gem's actually set in like a piece of jewelry and not just stuck to his helmet. So we'll define that. Probably have to do that. Probably should have done that more often, but some of them the gold still shows. That one now we fixed it with a little bit of a bracket or whatever it would be called, where the stone would be set. And then now I think we continue on doing 2 more wings. And that brings us to about maybe 6 of them. So then we'll work on something else, and then we'll do maybe 2 more and work on something else, and then 2 more and we're done. Well, I'm not done, but done with painting alternating feathers. This is actually a step I probably should have done much, much earlier. Like when everything feels looser and fresh. Whereas doing it now at the end, it feels a little more tedious and more like a chore. Of course, the way I built it up, I don't know if I could have done it really earlier unless I did it like literally the step after washing the oil washes. Or I guess I could have done it before the oil washes and then they would have just gotten the oil wash as well. Sometimes I think I need to stop going for things I know I can't reach with my brush. You know, there's a little detail tucked back in there and you try to get it and then you make a little mistake. And those little mistakes add up. to making it look sloppy if you don't clean them. Whereas if I just maybe ignored it, it wouldn't even be visible. All right, we'll get one more guy's wings. Then we'll move on to another step. And then I think we just have 4 left. Doing these little details. These are the kind of details where you would, you finish just this one task and call it a night, just because I don't know, for me it just feels kind of draining. Like after staring at it for so long, you want to just give your eyes a break and watch something on YouTube instead. But my sleep schedule is so crazy right now. It's not like I'm going to be tired anytime soon for actual, like, going to sleep. So I may as well force myself to finish painting these piano key wings. All right, so I think that leaves me with 4 left. So honestly, I think I'm going to do one more right now. And I think that should leave me with just 3 to do. And I got 3 paint handles. So later I could put all 3 of them on their handles. And knock out the last 3 after a small break. Yeah, I think we might jump over to highlighting the gold next, which will look really cool, but not on camera because it's metallic, glossy, shiny paint. And my light's so bright, it's going to be hard to see it. Which has kind of been the story of the Eldar stream. It's like, hey, what are you working on? Oh, some shiny metallic stuff you can't see on camera. Until I can adjust like the white balance or brightness. Or I could attempt maybe to move my light. I can't go much farther away, but I could go a little bit farther away. But both my lights are in soft boxes, so, well, the one above me has parchment paper over it, and the one to my left, it is a softbox light, so. Oh, somebody's knocking on my window. Hold on. Hold on, everybody. Well, that was weird. Oh. All right, I'm back. That was weird. I didn't get murdered. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and yeah, I don't. It must have just been some noise, like clicking right outside on something else, but it sounded like it was clicking right on my window, which I live on the first floor, so I thought somebody was like on my patio. I almost had to break out the hand axe, the hatchet, or the big cleaver I use to open up my coconuts. All right, before we highlight, oh, hold on, where did I put my glasses? All right, now for some reason, I don't know where I actually set my glasses down. Oh, I see them across the room. Hold on. All right. Before I highlight the gold, I think I'm going to wash the coils on those guns, which I don't know if we got like a really great purple wash. We got Druki Violet, which is good, but it's so dark. But I think that's our only option. So we'll go with it. Oh, actually, we got this one we haven't tried yet. Eidolon Purple Clear. We'll try this one. We haven't tried this one yet, and I love the clear paints. If you hear me screaming for help, that means somebody made it through my patio window and is murdering me. So you'll get the full experience, Zane, of some really quality stream. The murder of a sad, lonely miniature painter. Actually, the happy miniature painter. Okay, this clear is going to work pretty good. Eidolon Purple Clear. Using it as a wash over the magenta. I can tell already I should have done a highlight before this wash, because it would definitely show through. Because these clear paints, I mean, they're really nice for the fact that they don't overly stain the surface. Yeah, I got a like a hand axe for like minor landscaping, or a like an 18-inch butcher knife hatchet, or not, yeah, like a butcher knife for which I use for opening coconuts. I don't even think I'm going to waste my time putting each guy on the handle for this wash. It's just one little wash on each. It'd be really shocking if I was out in the middle of nowhere and somebody was tapping on my window. Honestly, it must have just been a cat or something jumping on something outside or whatever, but it felt like it was right at my window. But I was pretty quick to check, so I don't think anybody would have tapped and then disappeared that quick. Yeah, the cops show up. They're like, this was clearly a crime of nerd passion, as he wanted to become a corn berserker for 20 minutes. All right, we got that purple clear down. That looks pretty nice. And unfortunately, it looks like one of these, or two of these guys, I haven't done the wings yet. So maybe we'll knock one out real quick. Try to break it up, make it seem like it's a fun task. It's not, but we're pretending it is. That way, even if I save them all for the end, I'll look and be like, oh, I only got one or two left to do. I don't think I'd have it in me to sit here and do these wings 4 sides per guy, 10 guys. So this is a kind of an okay way to break it up a little bit and save. Oh, I definitely lost the steadiness of my hand, though. I can feel I had a little bit of surge of adrenaline when I thought somebody was. I'm literally like, I don't know, 4 feet, 3 feet from my patio window. So to hear that tapping was like, what the heck was that? And then I guess my body was like, we'll shoot some adrenaline just in case. Not like you need to be steady or calm for painting. Got to prepare for being murdered. And then now we want to go back to painting, and I don't have the control. Yeah. Definitely giant rib cage terrain. All right, we're doing one more, even with my shaky hand now. Try to get one more done. Oh man, I think I actually just missed completely. No, I think it's me. One thing when it comes to the fancy models like Eldar and highly decorative type characters, elves and stuff, the model seems like it's almost done, and then as you slowly start picking out each little detail, you realize it's just hours and hours of more time. Like, I honestly thought I'd be much farther along on these, because I still have to highlight the gold. What's the news on your area, Zane, as far as like game stores and stuff opening back up? Looks like for us, next week, they'll be open for retail sales, but not open for gaming. All right, let's use our adrenaline shaky hand to dry brush some rocks. We'll go with like cold gray here. Oh, closed all the way through May, huh? Yeah, it seems like Arizona's deciding to kind of get things opening up, regardless of if it's a good idea or not. I don't know. But I'll tell you, the day that the store I hang out at opens up for shopping, I'm going to go buy something. I don't know what, but I just need to go buy something. I want to go buy some paints, or I don't even need paint. Maybe 2 more paint handles. This is just the size 1 ghost brush with some cold gray, dry brushing some rocks. Try to knock out a little bit of detail on these rocks. Not worried too much about any kind of overbrush onto the surrounding areas, because I can cover that with static grass. Actually, if my store happens to have those that Warcry Minotaur, the big one with the spear and shield, I'll probably pick him up. Just ride that wave while I'm excited to paint and play Warcry. Might as well try to pick that big guy up and get him painted to a nice high standard when I'm still fully motivated. Ooh, that was bad. That was a bad dry brush. I had way too much wet paint on the brush. And just covered. Hopefully a little bit of Agrax Earthshade and stuff over it will help. Yeah, one thing with the swooping hawks as well is I think because I was doing those kind of hour-long speed paints and stuff, we were painting owl bears and the D&D models and stuff. And I was finishing up some kind of more half-finished projects. Like I finished up the Dire Avengers, finished up the Tree Men. I think I finished up a couple other things. It felt like I was really getting a bunch of stuff done, getting stuff done. And then when I got to these guys, the Dire Avengers, I had already worked on a whole bunch. And people were like, geez, how come you haven't finished those yet? But I kind of forgot I had spent so much time on them. So starting these guys from scratch after all those speed paints, it's just felt like, wow, these are taking really long. And I mean, to be fair, they are taking quite a bit of time. And then to top it off, I got that whole big box of Warcry and all that terrain I'm trying to build behind me, and I want to get working on that. So it's making these guys like I want to be done with them. Oh, I painted a whole bunch of Deep Madness. That's what else I was working on. I did all those Deep Madness board game models. I'm going to take that Idenat Deepkin flesh color once I find it. What is that called? Iron rack skin. It's kind of a gray green. And we did rinse off our dry brush, so it's going to be maybe a little bit of a wet brush. But we'll try to really get the paint out. And this is just going to be a secondary. Oh yeah, that's test it on the back of your hand. That seems much too wet. That's the problem with cleaning your dry brush and still wanting to dry brush. We're going to just probably end up doing a slight more stipple or just a light brush pressure. Mix of like a stipple and light brush pressure. Put one more little highlight on these rocks. And that's probably really the story of why these take a long time. I don't have to put one more highlight on these rocks, but I'm gonna. Oh, I'm gonna. I'm not gonna put each one on the handle though again for it. Switching your color of your rock dry brush is a good way to add a touch of maybe realism or just make the rocks look a little better. So I went with kind of a cool, normal gray tone for the first dry brush, and now I'm going with like a green gray kind of tone. And because rocks would naturally have a lot of different colors in them. This just gives it like, oh, there's a little bit of, you can't even really tell, right? But it's a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. It's subtle. It's effective. It's a good, I don't think I've ever used iron rack skin on anybody's skin ever. It's like the least skin color I've ever seen. It's supposed to be, I guess, for some of the Deepkin guys. Maybe it'll be the skin color of my Warcry warband. Who knows? I don't think it will, but could be. I've only ever used it as like a dry brush for rocks. I think. And if you watch the bronze statue video, I'm going to take just a second to rinse off this dry brush extra good, but not as good as I showed in the how to really deep clean it. Just gave it a good rinse and wipe on a napkin, and I'll basically just set it aside, and I'll check on it in maybe 10 minutes, and I'll be able to tell if, oh, I need to wash it a good bit more, or if I got it good enough. So, oh, it looks like we got 3 people in the chat. Any mysterious people watching, you feel free to jump in the chat or thumbs up the video. Or subscribe. All good things. As is tradition, I think we take another guy and do his wings. Just break up every step with, oh, this might be the last guy. I might have done them all. Were you keeping track, anybody? Did I do all 10? This might be the 10th one. I always wanted to make good YouTube videos with, you know, nice editing and super enjoyable to watch. I think at this point, I honestly would rather figure out how to make good a good video for the stream. I think I like the streaming a little bit better than trying to do the videos. Probably still do a mix, but if I could figure out the camera setup to make this stream really pleasant to watch. Also wonder if you can hear like the air conditioner just kicked on. But I live in Phoenix, Arizona, so there's no way I can not have that on. And I have it set to like almost 80, and it's still kicked on at 3 in the morning. Maybe there's a way I can surround my microphone with something so it doesn't pick up the air. Or maybe you can't hear it. Let me know in the chat if you can hear that air conditioner that just kicked on. All right, that might be, all right, he's done. He's done, he's done. This is just checking the wings here. Good, 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 good. Good, all right, we did it. We got them all done. That was brutal. Good way to break it up. Oh, you can't hear the air conditioner? Well, that's good. Because it's on. So maybe the microphone, I have a little like wind reducer fuzzy thing over the mic, but I feel like sometimes my videos have a bit of a hum. I think it's the microphone literally just picking up the laptop like fan. Let's see. Next step, we could Agrax Earthshade the rocks. We could highlight the gold. We can highlight coils. We could highlight the blue. Now the blue might still be drying a little bit on some of these wings, although the gold is going to be the most. And it should be dry on the rocks, but I guess that was the thing we did previously. So probably we should do with some of the gold. Let's see what we got for gold. I had this like elven gold I used when I sprayed it originally. So let me track that down. See what it looks like now. Of course, I can't find it. Oh. All right, there it is. I don't know if it's going to look quite bright enough to be a highlight. It was a big part of it. No, it's not. So I think when we did our final highlight, we actually mixed this amber alchemy with the elven gold. Which is not a bad idea. Or this one would probably be a really good one to use, but good Lord, is it so separated? It's like, it's freaking the worst paint ever. Let's look at it and just look at that. I mean, let me see if you can see it without the light on. That's a gold paint, except it looks just like a cream color because all the gold is sitting in the bottom. What kind of crap is that, GW? Auric Armor Gold. Never, ever buy this paint. Oh, let's put it on the... I'm going to put it on the paint shaker. See if we can't... I apologize for this. All right, let's see if that did anything for us. Oh, I hear the rattle ball moving. Oh yeah, that is awful. This color is so bad. But we're going to try it because the more we use, the more likely we can throw this paint away when we finish using it. Meaning, throw it away when we complete the jar, basically. So hopefully its transparency may be of some value to us. Start with this Undie Ruse. No, it's not bright enough. It's bright enough to create some subtle transitions, but I don't think we want real subtle transitions right now. I think we're done with that. All right, Auric Armor, go ahead and sit back in the rack. And separate again, and we'll go, I guess, to this Amber Alchemy. It's super not yellow, though. Let's try a touch of this on. Okay, I don't like that. That's not doing anything for me either. What the heck? Thought I had a gold bright enough for this. Okay. Gonna have to make one. Didn't want to do it. Let's take Vallejo Silver. Let's do pale burnt metal. Oh, this one's stuck. It's not opening up. Get like a file or something I can. There we go. Oh, of course, it's not only stuck, but it's completely clogged too. Perfect. All right. So I do love these metal colors are the best metallics, but sometimes they get, I mean, look how shiny that is, but man, does that get messy. It's one of the problems. I mean, I own a bunch of these different colors. I think I would be better off actually buying, just picking my favorite couple, maybe my favorite 3 or 4, and jet exhaust would be my absolute favorite. And then just, using those and not letting these pots just sit unused. Okay, we're still not, our clog's not freed up yet. I'm trying to use my handy dandy giant thumbtack. Giant thumbtack is a pretty good paint opener. Oh, there we go. All right. We have pale burnt metal. Then, this might not even work, who knows. A couple drops of elven gold. Take a busted up brush and stir this together. See what we get. It's not even in the realm of what we're looking for. Oh, man. It's so dirty. All right, let's see what we can do now. We're going to take this like sunny, the actual, I think it's called bright yellow, but I actually airbrushed over the name, so I can't, just because it was sitting behind where I airbrushed. All right. Oh, great. This dropper on this paint is completely clogged up. What the heck is going on with my paints tonight, everybody? Having problems. Let's see if giant thumbtack can solve this problem too. Kinda, it's moving. All right, squeeze it in some water. Looks like we cleared. Put a few drops of yellow ink into this. I mean, we made a pretty realistic, put a whole bunch of yellow ink. I just dumped a bunch of yellow ink in. We've made something. Basically, we made mistakes here. There's no value in this color I just made. I mean, it's a decent, almost, maybe you can see it on the back of my hand. It's not a bad, like, kind of mustard colored gold. That's not what we're looking for. All right, I got another plan. So this was a waste. Put it there. You know what? Just so we don't have to waste it, I'm going to take a beat up brush. And we're just going to paint the staff on this wizard with this giant thing of, oh, and it's so thin, it's not even covering good. All right. Whatever. We've Gonna at least base coat this wizard staff. He spent a lot of time watching us paint on stream now. Guess he deserves a little bit of a weird homemade gold yellow base coat. All right. So we didn't waste that entire thing because we used it on that. Perfect. I mean, when we actually ever go to paint that, we'll have to completely paint over it because it doesn't have good coverage. But we use them. All right, I got another plan. This is called trying to make a highlight gold for your swooping hawks. We're going to go just amber alchemy again. In this, let's do about 50-50 kind of yellow ink. The amber alchemy. See if we can really yellow it up. This amber alchemy is almost like a metallic peach. And we're looking for something way more yellow. The other option is I highlight it with like a silver and then I glaze a yellow over it. Okay, this didn't work. That's not right. This is called bad color theory experiments right now. All right, so that one's a fail. We don't like that one. Let's go with, here's another idea. We're going to go with Vallejo Silver, Air Silver, with just yellow ink. And we're just going to do one drop of each because I'm getting a little tired of making a whole little bottle cap worth. All right, that's about 1 drop of silver to 2 drops of yellow. It's getting there. Something's happening. Let's do a whole bunch more yellow. Almost has a green look to it now, which is odd. Let's try this one out. This one's got interesting. It got weird though. Definitely got weird because it's so much ink and not a lot of metallic. I'm gonna go back to the guy's little kind of undie ruse. This might work. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we did it. I think if you're following along at home, I think we figured out something that actually highlights this gold that we have. Okay. It's still pretty subtle, but I think it's enough. Oh, I hope I have enough for all of them. I think it's enough that it works. It's hard to really even call it a highlight as much as it's just a variation that maybe adds some interest. It does have a touch of silver to it, so. We don't got to do the whole model or nothing. All right. We're just going to try to focus on the most dominant areas and not worry so much. I need to reinvoke the killer instinct that these are getting done, whether we like our gold highlight or not. And I totally forgot that he also has a giant feather on his head. I don't even remember what my hint is now. Zane, my brain's scrambled. That darn yellow test totally melted my brain. I don't even think I got his helmet. I gotta make sure I clean up these face masks a little bit. I wanted this highlight to be much more visible. This feels much more like a highlight just for me. Like, especially after all that struggle of trying to find a gold that would even slightly work. People might not even notice it. But I am using it to try to clean up their face masks and fingers, if at all possible. Trying to remove some of the teal that got on their face mask. Create a little bit of interest on the shoulders. And also this might be one of those things where maybe once they get hit with the matte coat, it actually pops a little better and you can see what happens. See it a little better. Because there is some variation now, but it's just probably not noticeable enough to really justify it. Trying to move quick too, just so if the paint wants to dry on me, I can get them done before that happens. Ugh. This one just ran between all the fingers there. That's a bummer. One of the problems with inks is they're very fluid. So when I'm trying to do the little separations in their fingers, it easily finds its way to fall right between the cracks. I'm not sure what you're actually talking about right now. I must be behind in the chat, right? I don't know what eyes you're talking about or anything. I got I think I need, after these highlights, to scroll back up and reread. But I want to try and get all these little highlights done on them. All right, so this highlight color only did what I was trying to avoid, and that was, just a slight variation in the color. Pretty unnoticeable. But when it comes to highlighting metallics, if you go too much, it can get a little sparkly. And like the way GW's heavy metal team always seems to highlight golds and bronzes, they go to like a silver edge highlight, which I don't really like at all. Sometimes it's okay, but I don't think gold and silver, just because it's bright on the edge, I don't think gold is silver on the edge. I think it's just a brighter gold. Ooh, I actually have an idea too. It might not work. All right, let's try some. So that's all of them. Now let's see what happens when we put a drop of white ink . 2 drops of white ink. Maybe that was a missing ingredient the whole time. Okay, we've pretty much lost all the metallic. Let's put one more drop of silver. Oop, that might have been too much. Oh boy. All right, we got something going here. Now, Yeah. Now I'm going to do it again. Just less. Basically doing little dots. Oh, I'll check the I'll check my phone in a bit. Try to knock out one more layer of highlights on these wings. Or not just their wings, but the gold armor. Because when you're trying to finish models, the worst thing you can do is double, triple highlight everything. But we've come this far. We're not turning back now. They're getting their highlights. And I think it's going to be worth it to just throw this extra little extra highlight on them. Hey, what up, Simon? And Kyle, what's going on? So I'll catch up in the chat in 1 second here. I'm struggling with the mixture of paint that I mixed up here, and I'm trying to knock out just a few little tap highlights. And then I'm going to take a little bit of a breather and do all the chat. I think I saw you say something about announcing them. I don't necessarily have it scheduled or anything, though. I just have been trying to do it every night, and usually it's late. Many a stream is just me and Zane hanging out. I got this really weird mixture of color. Well, it was quite a journey to get here, really. If you haven't been watching, we really failed. And now I got this weird highlight color I made. And I can't even say it looks good, but because I made it, I'm using it. If that makes sense. It looks like something, but I don't know if that's better than how it looked before. But here we are, trying it out. And I'm still going to highlight the blue, but I'll do that after a break and I can catch up on the chat. I think my highlight color is actually getting worse as it dries. I think it's looking much, much worse than it did on the first couple. Oh no. Or it's just that I'm trying to go a little bit faster and making a little more sloppy brush movements. All right, looks like we got just a couple more. Sorry, Kyle. Let me finish these guys, and then I'll be able to jump in the chat. Looks like you're asking about Gloomhaven. I haven't played Gloomhaven in a while, but we played it for like 6 months straight when my buddy brought it in. He had the Kickstarter, and we just played that game every Saturday for like 6 months. So if you want a long board game that takes forever to finish, and it's got a lot of good tactics, even though it might have a harder learning curve for some of your players to understand it's okay to use your cards that hurt you, your one-use cards. We had some of our players that seemed to, well, one specifically seemed to really struggle with using your good cards. Even though you had to discard them after you used them, he thought it was more important to just not use them so he could stay alive like one turn longer. Which, of course, is not how you want to do it. What I'm painting right here, though, are swooping hawks for the Eldar. I'm trying to knock out this kind of rough highlight. I don't love it, but it was such a journey to get here. And the whole goal of my Eldar too is to, like, I wanted to make them metallic, but not, when you look at them, it's like, oh, they're metallic, but are they non-metallic, or are they color shift, or, try to make them interesting. So this almost kind of muted highlight that I'm doing is going to add a little bit of that interest. It's like they're gold armor, but now they're highlighted with almost this unique kind of muted green metallic. Doesn't really make a ton of sense, but it adds some visual interest. And I'm doing kind of little dot highlights. or trying anyway, but I'm trying to do it fast. So it has that kind of loose kind of look to it. Like it doesn't look like a clean edge highlight, but maybe more like sparkling. I don't know. Hopefully it shows up good in pictures and we like it. It's always interesting when you do, like, you know, these guys will be matte coated with the ultra matte. And the metallics, when they get hit with the ultra matte, they really have pretty interesting effects. That can always be kind of cool. All right. There's a few of them that there's a little harsh on their shoulder pad highlights. So I might have to, and some of their face masks got a little wonky too. Some of it's just simply because the fine cast details are not crisp at all, and they're like these soft, bad sculpts. But some of it's also just my fault for not doing a good job. All right, this is the last guy, and then I can jump over and check out what's going on in the chat. Ooh. Some little touches on his ribs there. Probably should have done that to more of them. Hold on, I might just touch a little bit on a couple of these ribs. Liked how that ended up looking on that guy. So I gotta check them if they have these little tiny ribs showing. I'm gonna try to put a little dot of a highlight. And then I'll be right there in the chat. Still haven't even actually put the white dots on all the gems yet either. It's like you think you're done, and then you realize you're still so many steps away. But they're getting there. And I think this little dot on their rib armor's gonna be a valuable highlight. If anybody ever picks these guys up and looks at them this close, besides me. Okay, we'll call that good for now. Let's jump over to the chat and see what I missed. Sorry about that. That got a little almost time sensitive that I didn't want to have to remix the paint I mixed. It was a bit of a struggle to even get there. And it was this kind of weird, interesting highlight color. But I gotta say, they're looking pretty sharp. I still think I might have to, I don't want to, but I might have to clean up their face masks. Maybe hit them with a wash again. All right, let me turn the chair and kick my foot on. All right, let's see where we're at. I'm going up. Some fancy boys. We got to check the images that Zane sent me. If anybody's wondering, it's 4:30 in the morning here. Looks like we got messages from Inquisitor Zane. It's hard to tell that it's glass. It looks more like rust or like rusty, cracked sheet metal, but it's such a zoomed in image, it's really hard to tell. And I have no idea what the model is. It looks like it's just the base of a model. Let's see, it would be a good idea to announce that Simon says it'll be a Simeon. Is it Simon or Simeon? It will be a good idea to announce the stream a couple hours the day before they go live because it will be easier for us to know about them. Oh yeah, so I think I mentioned this. My brain was scrambling on those highlights, but so yeah, I pretty much have just been trying to do this every night, but it's really a pretty late night thing, and I don't know exactly when I'm going to start. I basically spend my days working on the Kickstarter, and then I maybe exercise, and then I might, not might, but I make dinner, maybe watch some YouTube while I eat my dinner, and then I, just wait a little bit until I feel like, okay, let's paint, and then I try to turn on the stream. And that's usually, I'm trying to turn it on by like midnight my time. It's like 4:30 my time. And I'm trying to do it mostly daily just because it's been a fun way to increase the amount of painting I get done. And it's fun hanging out and chatting. I'm getting a lot of work done. And I think people watching get some models done too. And then also I think it's been pretty good for the YouTube channel. The watch time and stuff has gone up because, streams are long videos. So anybody that decides to check them out for a while watches a little longer. Oh, and then the next thing you say, the premiere thing. I actually hate the premiere thing as far as seeing them in my news or my subscription box. Like I'm trying to figure out how to turn those premieres off. Like I don't really like it at all that somebody's like, hey, in 3 days, I'm going to upload a video of this. Like, because, maybe for some people that don't check their YouTube all the time, but I check my YouTube subscription box pretty much daily, multiple times probably daily. So I almost prefer that I don't see that many days in advance what people are going to upload because it pushes down more of the videos that did get uploaded. Kyle says, what's up? Doing good this morning, Kyle. Just struggling to get these Eldar guys finished because I got this in the mail finally. Put my thumb right over it. Try not to crush my Eldars. But yeah, I got the unmade Warcry team. So I want to get these Eldar Swooping Hawks done so I can put the attention into the Warcry warband. I'm pretty excited about that. If you've seen, I have a stream, hour-long video of how I painted this guy. And then I just uploaded a video of how to do the kind of more subtle patina because I don't really like the totally teal caked on look of, the caked on looks probably a little more realistic, but I kind of like the subtlety. So we got him done and things have been good. I actually decided to eat unhealthy tonight and I had Taco Bell, which I haven't actually really had fast food. I only had fast food once in like the last 2 months. And I got some bean burritos from Taco Bell and a real Pepsi, which I haven't had a real Pepsi in, I don't know, probably 6 months or a year or something. I don't know. No, probably not that long, but I hardly ever drink a real soda anymore, especially because I barely drink caffeine. Most of the time I just say I quit caffeine because it's such a small part of my life. It looks like Kyle's painting some space wolves. That's good. I feel like using this downtime or time at home to paint extra. I feel like it's been super valuable for me, and a lot of people that are doing it, I think, are really enjoying it. I feel like I almost feel bad for my buddies that I game with that seem like they're spending their time just binging video games and television, which at the end of the quarantine, you have nothing to show for it. At least if you had to stay home extra days of the week, you could, come back with a few extra units painted. Oh yeah, the dry brush stream. So that was what was that, about an hour-long video. I made that for the Kickstarter backers too. So it was somewhat of a stream just in case anybody wanted to jump in. But also I was trying to cover kind of the whole beginning to end of a dry brush project. And I think it was good. Obviously, if I could edit it down to a more watchable size, it would be more valuable to more people, but I don't know how to do that. So maybe one day I'll learn how to edit a video. But I think it's good that you could just click around, right? It's a long video, click around every 15, jump ahead 15 minutes. If you see something that happened that you like, maybe jump back a minute or two and find out how it happened. Oh, you're in the way of painting your Gloomhaven. Yeah, Gloomhaven, I was talking about that, I remember. It was really fun. It's really, there's also the Gloomhaven Part 2 on Kickstarter. I think it's called Frosthaven, the Part 2 of the board game. I think when you're saying the lion boss, Kyle, I think what you're talking about is possibly Kingdom Death. There's like that really bad sculpt of like a half human, half lion that I've seen a bunch of people paint. I think it's Kingdom Death. A lot of their miniatures are really cool, but that lion's terrible. By the way, for lighting, you can use the lights with some matte filter. I do have parchment paper over the light above, but it doesn't quite seem to knock it back. I have played with the camera settings in OBS, and it seems like I could get it a little bit easier to see, but I don't really know how to stream with OBS yet. So there's that. And also in the mail today with my Warcry team, I just got a mini HDMI cable. So I should be able to, I think, stream with the Panasonic camera I got. So possibly a much better camera to stream with. I don't know much about cameras, but it was more expensive than my webcam, so hopefully it's better. My stream just, or my chat just jumped. Let me. Yeah, when we played Gloomhaven, all of us had to take our character home and paint them for my friend. So anytime you retired your character and got a new one, you would take it home and paint it. And then that way, by the end of it, he had a whole painted set of all the heroes. The wet blending on the cloak. Are you talking about one of your Gloomhaven wet blending? Or I don't know if I wet blended a cloak at all. So I don't think it was me. Oh, I keep highlighting the Eldars because I want them to just look more and more interesting if possible. So I'm just doing it for pure vanity of trying to make them look the best I can. And although I don't think it was the perfect color, I do think it was a very interesting color of highlight. I know it's hard to show it on. Let me see if I actually have this open in Logitech Stream. I can change the white balance. I don't think that does anything for us. Change the brightness down a little bit. Yeah, but see, even if I change the brightness down, the white hot spots are still just as bright. Yeah, it's just everything's so subtle. Each change, it drives me crazy trying to mess with these cameras. I don't know anything about them, and I'm just not into filmography or whatever, photography. So the cameras are so confusing to me. But I am trying to figure out how we can get it. Because if I can get it set up like this, where I pretty much just plug and play, turn it on, good to go, but look much better, then I'll be in business. That, you know, we could be doing this a lot more often and people would be enjoying it. That's a Warhound Titan eye, Zane? Yeah, it's a little too zoomed in for me to have any idea what that picture was. Announced. So when you announce it, are you talking about posting it on like the little like YouTube thing? I don't really have like a Twitter or anything to announce it on. I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. I used to use it back in my Vegas promoting days, but I'm gonna try to do comedy stuff. But yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, doing like a premiering. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I thought you meant. Yeah, I just don't like when people do like, hey, on Wednesday, May 6th, or whatever, you know, Cinco de Mayo, Taco Tuesday. Also, I'm going to upload a battle report. And it's like, okay, well, it's not that exciting. I'll see it if I see it. Oh, Inquisitor Zane sent me some messages on Instagram. So that's the figures we're talking about. Yeah, it's great. I'm playing games a bit, but working on the Space Force Army, I had a box. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to use this time to finish up some half-finished projects as well. And that's kind of why I've been attacking the Eldar and trying to get some extra work done on them. Oh yeah, the Lantern guy. Yeah, that's the Lantern. I think that's Kingdom Death. I can't see the link. I don't know how to see a link. All right, I think we're going to hit the rocks with Agrax Earthshade. Just to add one more touch of variation into them. I can see one highlight though. Maybe this shoulder I don't like at all. Actually, the highlights I did on them look pretty good, except for on the big flat shoulder parts. Those parts are not great. Might have to go in with a little bit of the elven gold and kind of knock them back a touch. I think we'll do this with the GW beat up wash brush, medium shade brush, just doing Agrax Earth Shade, and we're just hitting the rocks on each guy's base. So I'll move over the ones that don't have any rocks. And I'm not going to put them all on a handle for this, so it should be simple enough. Not worried about full coverage or anything, just worried about putting some more interest on the rocks. Also, it's good to use the wash to reinforce the shadows around the rocks. Help separate them from the base. Yeah, these guys are the plans to finish them tonight. Depends on how much longer I go to get them actually done. A lot of these little details took way longer than I thought they were gonna. But I was hoping I could get them finished tonight, maybe even matte varnish tonight, or at least matte varnish maybe tomorrow afternoon before I start work on the Kickstarter for the day. Then call them done. So these rocks were dry brushed. They're just black, and then they were dry brushed with game air cold gray, and then dry brushed with iron rack flesh or something. The deepkin flesh color, iron rack flesh. Iron rack deepkin flesh. What the heck is that called? Sorry. Iron rack skin. It's almost like a green gray. So that just gives us another temperature into the rocks, another color variation. Rocks, especially out in the wilderness, green moss and stuff could be forming on them. Plus, these bases end up being very rich in plant life anyway, once I'm done with them. So a little bit of kind of green gray is a good highlight color choice. But it's not even noticeably green, so don't stress on that. It is just noticeable as a lighter color than the initial gray. But if I had just used gray and then that same gray with but a little more white added in, that wouldn't have been ideal. Wouldn't have been as interesting. All right, that's the Agrax Earthshade on all of their and I think I'm going to try something. I don't know if it's a good idea. I think we're going to Agrax gloss all their face masks again. Because a lot of the little lines in their face masks kind of disappeared due to my hastily highlighting. How would you make very dull aged red glass? You can't really paint glass. It's transparent. You could do it like comic book style where, you just have it kind of red with an extreme white kind of dot or highlight on it. I think we'll go with the little... one of my favorite wash brushes is this old makeup brush. It's like decayed away into like a little point, and most of it's even dried, but it's got just enough room that it holds the wash and has a nice point to deposit the wash. It's like a little miracle wash brush. Could use any. Just trying to redefine the lines and all their little face masks. This might not be a bad color. Oh, this guy's really bad. Oh, his lines aren't even barely sculpted in. Ugh. I would maybe approach it almost like a dull red clay or brick. And then maybe you could put a few little reflected highlights or little highlights on it, like comic book hatch. But when we're talking about glass, I mean, can't paint transparent unless you get out like your gloss medium from canvas painting, like heavy gloss body medium, build up a thick layer of that with like brown and red ink in it, maybe. I don't know. It's not a easy thing to achieve. All right, so this is just Agrax gloss and all their kind of face plates to re-establish some of the shadows on them that kind of got lost. All right, that's cool. Now I'm going to highlight the guns and their helmets. Maybe the wings is going to take quite a bit of effort, so we might do those a little bit later. I'm going to go back to the very first paint I used on the wings and teal part, and that is Emerald Alchemy from Scale Color. It's a pretty cool blue-green. Put a nice dollop there. I think we'll thin it out with, actually, I'm going to thin it with just a touch of Scale Colors acrylic thinner. I was just going to use Lamy and medium, but I do have the official Scale Color, which actually the Scale Color thinner works really perfect for the Scale Color metallics and stuff when I was airbrushing them. So I'm going to make a thin, almost wash-like consistency. See, it's pretty thin. And I'm going to tap basically the tip of their little las blaster. And then I'm going to tap their forehead a little bit. Maybe drag it up the forehead a little bit. And that's it. One down. This is going to be a good highlight color for their wings. It's just the wings. I'm probably going to hit the tips of each wing feather. And I don't know if I have it in me to do that right this second. And the reason I wanted the paint thin is because I'm not being overly careful on where I'm putting my highlights. So because of that, having the paint thinned out makes the brush stroke a little less noticeable, and it almost going to give it that kind of feathered out, blended look without any actual blending or effort. Definitely buying 2 more of these handles. Maybe I'll even go crazy and buy 7 more. Just have the full 10 GW paint handle collection, just so when I do these Eldar units, I can have them all on a handle. Especially for these little fine cast guys. They're so delicate, taking them on and off the handle. Risk breaking their little ankles every time. And I don't remember if I got this guy. I don't think I did. If I did, he got double highlighted. Cool. Now, maybe I could probably dry brush the highlight of this over the wings. Be very quick, or I have to take my brush and just get each tip. It's not a bad idea, though, to use this color to clean up any of that contrast that I got a little too sloppy with. Just to help separate the feathers in the pattern again. Which actually, of course, works like a highlight for them. Gilly in the building. What's going on? What is going on? Just woke up to the great surprise of being live. Yeah. It's about almost 5 in the morning here, so we've been going for about 3 hours. Oh, Simon's out. Have a good one. Thank you so much for hanging out. Take care. Yeah, I'm just trying to put some finishing details on my little swooping hawks here. Just using our emerald color to clean up any staining that we got that we don't like. Are you working on getting anything painted today, Mr. Gilly? Making some pancakes. Yeah, I'm gonna probably need second dinner here as well. That'll probably cause the end of the stream is when I decide I want to eat again. Decided to go a little unhealthy with my Taco Bell bean burritos tonight. Haven't had fast food in a while, and fast food is not super long-term filling. All right, we're going to do the quick version of the wing feather highlight. It's going to be a quick kind of taps. It's going to give us just enough to say it's done. Without overly investing our time and effort, because I so want these to be done. All right, 3 down. This is the struggle with, I want to finish a model and I want to compete in Best Painted Army if I play this army in an event, especially at the local store. Now, for anybody who's just tuning in, events were something that used to happen in the world. And we all hope one day they will happen again. But we don't know. Baba Yaga's Hut. Is that from a Reaper Bones Kickstarter? Or is there was it a Reaper Bones model? Or is it a WizKids? I think I saw one of those on Instagram. These little extra highlights are what hopefully make the army pop, especially when it's all said and done at the end and you got all these extra highlights on all your models. And it's like, oh man, how did you do all that? And I'll be like, go watch 20 hours of streaming. 20 hours of streaming with bad lighting. That way you really probably can't even see what I'm working on. Got bugs attacking me. I think I got fruit flies in my house. One of the main side effects of having a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables is tiny little fruit flies like to hang out and eat it, or try to eat it. I don't know what they do to it. It's like the only bad side effect of eating healthy. All right, 3 more to go. I'll get to the chat in just 1 second if there's anything I'm missing. I get a little too focused right when I'm done Right when you're about to finish up a step on a unit of 10, I feel like that's when I make the most mistakes because I'm getting excited that I'm about to finish. Zane's watched me make lots of mistakes near the end of different parts of these swooping hawks. All right, well, regardless of if we finish the swooping hawks 100% or not tonight, I think it'll be the last time I probably stream with them. I think I'll just, whatever I don't finish, if I don't finish, I'll just do it off camera. It'll be boring stuff like waiting for tufts to dry. All right, that is all of the wings highlighted. Is it like a Reaper model you bought from just the store? Or is it from like a Kickstarter exclusive one? I backed a Reaper Bones 5, and I think I was going back and looking at Reaper Bones 4, and I think I saw that one. But I thought maybe it was an exclusive one. But actually, the store, I haven't been to a game store in a while now, so who knows what's been released. Yeah, the hut has like chicken legs, and it's like a house, I think. Oh, Kyle? Did you back the Reaper 3 Kickstarter and get like that whole? I backed the Reaper 5, Reaper Bones 5. So I don't know, maybe if it's this year or next year that I'm supposed to get it. I think it's next year that it's supposed to show up, or the end of this year, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that one in the store. But like I said, I haven't been to a game store in a while because they're all closed. All right, I think I could work on. Oh man, I don't know how I want to do these coils on their guns. I almost think I want to just blast them with an airbrush, but I don't really love that look of like the little airbrush hot spot on the plasma coil. But the fine cast coil lines or whatever are so fine, and such a shallow depth around it. I think it might be a good way to do it. And then also, I still got a few. I think for the most part, they're about ready to go. Actually, I think most of them are pretty much done. Besides the plasma gun, possibly a highlight on the metal guns, but I think the metal guns are okay. This guy's got some big feather on his head and some feathers on his hands, or on this hand. So, and I can actually, for some reason, oh no, it's stuck now. That head is magnetized on there. The person who built this, I guess, wanted to magnetize his head for some reason. But I guess my paint ended up sticking it on. So I don't know how I would want to do the feathers. I think the feathers may have to kind of go in the colors of the kind of plasma coils. Just thinking about the color balance of him. Let's see where the focus is at. It's right there. See if we can check him out without the light on above. No, can't see nothing. Anyway, he's just got, they all have this like plasma coil that I did this murderous magenta with the purple clear wash over it. And now it needs something. Could also do like a dry brush or a kind of stipple. Maybe like, I don't know, it's such a tiny, tiny area. Struggling with those coils. But I think just those coils and the feathers and the tufts, they're probably done. Unless I decide on these two guys to actually, they have like this pointed out, but right there is like a little strap that actually I should probably paint blue. So, all right, I'll probably do that cloth blue. I wouldn't mind cleaning up that highlight on the shoulders too. Let's do that darn cloth blue. But we're going to do it much darker. We're not going to highlight it up like the tabard that they have flowing behind them. I think we'll just hit it and then kind of let it fade away. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do is, do the kind of coils heating up with like some really bright kind of white highlight. But the problem is the coils are so teeny tiny on these little models, and they're fine cast, which means you get to enjoy the loose sculpting quality. They're not highly crisp, detailed coils. Oh, I know I'm going to mess this up, but can we see that on camera? Let's make sure everybody can see me mess up. Oh, maybe not. I might have it. But yeah, it's just one of those parts of the model, the coils, that you got to do something because it's definitely a focal point. This sort of fabric wraps down here. If this was on all of them, I don't know if I would have done it, but it's only on these two, so I think we can make it. Just one of another 100 reasons why we're not done with the swooping hawks yet. Oh my Lord. Got it right on his face. Look how much he wobbles. Oh man, these fine cast models. I was going to do 30 of every aspect warrior, which, first of all, you don't need 30 of every aspect warrior. I was just thinking, oh, I have them all. So I've been buying up people's Eldar armies off locally so I can max out and have the full collection. And eventually I'll have it all painted and I'll be able to play all the different army combinations. And then I paint up the Dire Avengers. They look cool. And now I'm painting the Swooping Hawks. And they look pretty cool. But the fine cast is just so brittle and just loosely detailed. It reminds me of like the old metal models where things are just, stuck together for support. There's no real reason like why they have the only reason they have some kind of banner, cloth right there is just because they couldn't have the gun just be mashed all the way over to his arm, is my thought. So I think I might just be doing 10 of each of the fine cast aspect warriors, which is probably plenty. And then maybe just wait until they get plastics. I mean, if I have 10 painted Howling Banshees, and then eventually, even though I don't like the price at all that they're charging for the new Howling Banshees, eventually if I want 20 painted Howling Banshees and I want to do another unit of 10, I could buy 2 new boxes of the plastic ones. If there was new Swooping Hawks, I would have no problem buying 10 or even 20 just to round out my 30-man collection. But yeah, just working on these Swooping Hawks, I'm like, I don't think I have it in me to, maybe the next squad I think I'm going to do for the Eldar is the Fire Dragons. Fire Dragons are Striking Scorpions, but I think I'm going to do Fire Dragons because I really want to play with some of these red metallics that I got, like Red Rum from Turbo Dork. So I want to play with the red metallic armor for the Fire Dragons. Or even maybe in this kind of pink highlight to that. This is Kunzite. It's like a pink metallic. That'd be a cool highlight on like a deep red metallic armor. And so anyway, maybe it's just the Swooping Hawks that are a little bit of a pain to paint, and I'll enjoy it more when I move on to the others. All right, I think I'm going to take Elven Gold, which is kind of the base of the Swooping Hawks. Just a little bit. I'm going to take a teeny tiny beat up Ghost Brush here. Just got this little teeny tiny one. Actually, I don't even know if this teeny tiny one has a better point than the bigger one I was just using. No, I think actually my size 1 here has a better point than that old beat up one. Oh, I'm just going to use a little bit of this to put some little lines into my kind of rough highlights on the shoulders only. I definitely like Warhammer better than D&D. I don't actually play D&D. I played a little bit in a game, couple, maybe 4 or 5 times in a game, maybe a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. I think it was about a year ago now. That was the first time I played in a really, really long time. It was fun, but it was weird. It's like I never looked forward to playing. Like I wasn't like, oh, it's D&D night. I'm so happy. But I always had fun when I played. So whatever, I don't know what that means exactly, but. And I don't actually, I'm not even kind of like the person that plays Warhammer every weekend either. We kind of bounce around between games. Before the quarantine stuff, we were playing Gaslands. You know, we'll take time and play Gloomhaven for a whole bunch of months. There's a few of us that all back Kickstarters and board games and stuff. So we have no shortage of dungeon crawl, cool board games to play. I actually backed a ton of board games last year, and I pretty much got them all in the mail now. So in my possession right now, I have Deep Madness, which I've been painting. This is the last set. I got like 6 of these guys I got to paint, and that'll be the last of the Rise of Dagon expansion. I'll have that whole expansion completely painted. I got the whole starter set painted for that as well. That's the Rise of Dagon and Deep Madness starter set. But I got the whole Kickstarter for Deep Madness. All the fixins, all the expansions. I got Rise of Cthulhu from Cool Mini or Not. I got Starcadia Quest from Cool Mini or Not. I got Reich Busters from whoever made it. I don't remember. Dimension or something, or Mythic. I got, I think that's it. Oh, and I got Warcry. I've been buying Warcry stuff, so I want to play Warcry. Oh, I also got, I got a few other games that I've had for a while that I got with like trades and stuff. So I do have Rising Sun. I don't know if I have any intention of actually playing Rising Sun or painting Rising Sun, or potentially just painting some of the models just for sale. But it's not even open yet, so I don't know if the models are good enough to sell as like kind of Eastern D&D style models. Asian D&D. And then I have the Conan, just the main game, Conan the Barbarian, and a little bit of, I think, one expansion for it, I think it's the Kickstarter exclusive box that I got. I actually bought that off a friend in a trade. So those are all games that I got to play still. I have Massive Darkness, which we've played quite a bit but haven't finished. And then, on top of that, my buddy's got Sword and Sorcery. Another buddy's got the Batman miniature game. My buddy's got Nemesis. So we got a lot of different games between all of us. That makes you, or makes me like, I don't really want to sit down and play D&D. Maybe if I played on a non-weekend day. But like when I was playing on Saturday night with my other friends, it just felt like I got too many cool board games and miniature games I want to play with instead of D&D. But if it was maybe a weekday, I wouldn't play it. I was a gnome eldritch knight named Bok Choy. Yeah, I haven't had any actual problems with any Kickstarters at all. They've all been good. Any delays don't bother me at all because I understand completely how that works because I've had to ship a Kickstarter and it's, it's just so much work to get these things together and shipped. Oh man, we went heavy in the highlighting there. Whew. I think we did a pretty good job. I think my glasses are a little oily. I have prescription glasses that I only wear when I paint. I didn't even know I didn't have perfect vision until I got my glasses, and then I was like, oh, I guess I could see a little better with my glasses on. But now they're just really for hobbying. All right, so I think we just got the coils and the feathers on the X-Arc. Oh, we gotta wash that blue we just painted in. Get those guys back on for the wash. Coils and feathers and basing, and they're done. I might airbrush the coils, and I'll probably do that off camera just because my airbrush booth is over here. And the feathers, I am 100% stumped on how I want to do that. I don't know. Maybe I might have to go try to go realism. All right, we're going to try to do this wash thin down without using another bottle cap. So we're going to load up the brush with Dragonov Nightshade, dip my brush in some water. That should be good. Probably could even go a little darker. Oh, just ruined it. Got too much. And that way we can knock a little bit of shadow into this blue that we did. Like I said, even though it's on top, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I really want it highlighted just because it's peeking out on top and it's already, I could highlight it though, like the back of the cape there. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I was never in the army or anything. I just battling here at the paint table. All right, we got feathers. How do we do them? Natural colors, maybe. Pull up the. Oh, you know what would look really, really nice on the tips of their guns is if I did a almost green, lime green metallic tinted highlight on them. Make it look like a different color lights bouncing off them. I don't think I'm going to do that though. Maybe I'll jump over and pull up the Games Workshop website. Pull up the old Swooping Hawks and see how they painted. Looks like they did basically white with green tips just to match their white helmets with green face masks, which I'm not going to say I love because that would make mine blue with gold tips, which is not ideal. All right, maybe. Man, if I highlight them in magenta, though, that's really going to defeat what I already did there. It's just going to make it look. I can't use the same color, or else that's not going to look like it's glowing at all. So maybe I'd highlight them like a bone color, or I mean, base coat them like a bone color. What are we thinking? Anybody got any ideas for these feathers? Maybe a bone color, maybe a gray. Like I could go for somewhat of like a realism. Yeah, the purple is not a bad choice, except that's what I'm doing the coils to try to make them pop out the most. I could go like a terracotta, like red terracotta, and work from there. It's like a neutral brown tone. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I don't want them white because, I mean, if I did them like a bright white or off-white gray, they'd just be so bright and stand out. All right, I think I'm gonna base coat them terracotta if I can open it. For some reason, it's stuck. I'm gonna base coat them terracotta, and then we'll see what we like. Gotta be careful with this one. It's really stuck. Okay. Guess we'll just try to pour a little bit out. I'll do it on camera so we can watch the disaster. Oh. That's going to be one of those paints that I get to enjoy when I don't realize that it's not attached and I accidentally go to squeeze it and shoot all the paint out. Go back to the kind of beat up size 6. All right, I'm not mad at this color. It's not terrible. It's kind of a reddish brown. Maybe if we add like a little bit of a purple wash to it or a purple glaze, we can kind of get it in a neutral brown purple, but without taking away from the coils. Yeah, it's kind of like choosing like kind of a brown tone as a way of almost trying to take interest away from the area. Which is fine. We have bright golden swooping hawks. They have plenty of things to look at without having to worry about these feathers. but they can't just be plain brown. And now I just realized I actually have a bit of gold on this helmet that I somehow never... maybe it'll cover up when we wash them. Yeah, maybe this with a little bit of white. Or even could go with like this fluorescent acid pink. See if we can get that on camera without being too reflective. Maybe mix this magenta with this fluorescent pink and shoot a little highlight on those coils with the airbrush, I think. That might be the way to do it. And I think that's about all done. Well, I guess I got to wash those feathers. Yeah, I got to do something else with them, though. Maybe we'll take... Let's take this cold gray. Put a touch there. Put a touch of this terracotta into that gray. Paint the tips, I guess. Just so it has a little bit of variation. And I think we'll... maybe paint the top here. That way when we wash it, we have some more variation in it. All right, a little extra there. We're going to take a little bit of this bone white. Put it right into that gray. Gonna mix that in. Hopefully it's noticeably lighter. Kind of hit the edges. It's kind of like, oh, look, it's highlighted. A little bit of a highlight. I think we'll take a little bit more of that bone white. Mix just a touch of that, maybe a touch of that. Put that little stem on. Cool. Kind of built up a little feather action that we'll hit with a wash pretty quick. Kind of just in neutrals. Just to kind of get it done. Yeah, red and gold is like classic Blood Angels, Custodes, probably some other stuff. I think we're going to try to use this fluorescent color to highlight those coils. And I think I'm going to risk doing it with my airbrush, which I'm not super accurate with, and I don't do this sort of effect a lot, so it could be a disaster. But we're going to actually have to do that off camera, just so I can... I mean, I guess I could spray over here, but I'd like to maybe put down something if I was going to spray over here, which I might do in the future. Maybe throw like a t-shirt over all this. So you can see I've had like these paints that used to get hit with the airbrush, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt to learn to see what colors they are and if the models get too sprayed. I have no idea if the rules update on the digital ones. I don't think they might. I mean, you think when they do like FAQs, if they're gonna, I have no idea. They really should. Like if they're gonna do an FAQ and completely change a rule, all the digital books, they should change that rule in. I've never bought a digital book though. I always buy the normal book. All right, I'm gonna go back to Agrax Gloss because I just noticed something that I don't like. Agrax Earthshade Gloss. And I forgot when I did my fingers on some of these guys, the highlight, I got a little too much paint in between them, and the fingers really need to be separated. So I'm just going to hit the hands with the Agrax Gloss. Okay, that's too much on there. And this way we can just reestablish that there are dark lines between the fingers. It's always exciting when the models get close to being done, because then if you ever use the AK Interactive Ultra Flat, it's such a surprise what they look like after you spray them, because it's so matte and they've been so glossy through every step of the painting that I've done so far. So once I hit them with the matte, it's like a whole new model. And I've never been disappointed. It always looks so much better. So I'm excited to do that. Once we're done putting these washes on these little hands, probably able to put the wash on those feathers we just did. Hopefully they're nice and dry. A good tip for hands on miniatures is you always want the lines between the fingers as dark as you can get them. Just fingers pushed together have really dark shadows between them. And then also just at the scale of the tiny little hands, you want them to look good, and nothing makes them look better than seeing each individual finger. So it's a good tip to put some wash if you lose those separation in your fingers. And even if you have it a little bit, you should really try to push it. Like I just did there. I didn't have to go back and wash anything, but I could just tell that some of those fingers just didn't have as deep of a separation as I wanted. So the AK Interactive Ultra Matte, the reason is it's just the most matte varnish. It's so good. It's literally just incredibly matte. It doesn't even, like the Dole Tester's Dole Coat doesn't even compare. Army Painter Anti-Shine doesn't compare. The Vallejo Mecca matte doesn't compare. This is the Ultra matte. And I've heard this one, Lucky Varnish Ultra matte, is just as good, but I've never used this one. So this one might be available to you as well, AK or MIG. But let me show you, let me grab them. Here's, I don't know if you watched the thing where I painted the owl bear, but I mean, you can just see all the browns and dry brushing pop. And the reason you can see all that is because he's so matte. And actually, if I could matte coat my models, and like maybe if I mix that matte varnish with my paints while I painted, maybe it'd look way better on stream. Because, I mean, this bear, you can see all the effects I did, and none of that really would show up as well if it wasn't matte, because that glossiness reflects light, and this guy doesn't reflect light. So actually, yeah, if I could maybe mix some of this matte medium while I painted, that'd probably make the stream a little more enjoyable, since everything would be a little less reflective. All right, what are we thinking for the wash on the feathers? I could just go Druky Violet. Not a terrible idea. But actually, why not? We'll keep playing. I don't like this paint, but it's called Red Black from Secret Weapon. I don't think it's very good. But it is purple. Kind of. So, and I think it's kind of dry. Like, I think all the pigment's kind of stuck at the bottom. But we're going to use it. Sometimes I like using paints that I don't even like, because I like the idea that one day I'll finish them and then I can throw them away. All right, it's doing nothing. That's great. All right, that was worthless. It basically did nothing. So we need, maybe we'll mix a drop of a dark tone in there. Yeah, the green one was the second one I did. So I have the green one. He's sitting right next to that brown one on the shelf. I did the green or the brown one first, and then a couple days later I did the green one. All right, now it's more of a black brown. I don't know if it looks good. I'm going to say not really. But it definitely is adding some depth. And we're going to say that's good enough. That's all we wanted, a little bit of depth. Now that ultra matte is so matte, it actually turns like silvers into grays. Like your silver paint almost looks like gray paint after you use that ultra matte. So some people like to paint their whole model, and then use the ultra matte, and then go back and paint all the metallics. They save the metallics for the end. But on my Eldar here, my whole plan from the beginning was I'm going to paint them in all metallic armor, and then go and matte coat them. So all this metallic, all this gold metallic and teal metallic, it gets matte coated, and then it looks super interesting. It's like gold, but is it non-metallic metal or is it metallic metal? It has a bit of a sheen to it. Yeah, the green one, the green owlbear is matte coated as well. I'll show you him. So if you watch the green one on stream, here he is with the matte coat. Oh, let me move him. So, can't wait to break these swooping hawks at the game store. It's going to be so much fun. First time I pull them out of the case and I pop their wings off and their ankles break, and I spent all this time on them. But yeah, so there he is with the matte coat on him. And just as a comparison, here's like an iron golem thing I painted. That's not matte coated. It does have like typhus corrosion and rust effects, which are super matte, but you can still see the shininess of the. Yeah, the little iron golem guys I've been trying to sell on eBay. I got 3 of them painted, but none of them have sold yet. Yeah, even my bronze head that I was working on, the I don't know, it's terrain, but I'll probably matte coat it even. I don't know. It looks really good though. So this one I'm not 100% sure if I'll matte coat it or if I'll just brush on the matte coat when I do the ruins, because those will be matted. So I might leave him bronze. Yeah, the green owl bears. Zane's baby. All right, we're going to take that bone color, put a little bit there, a little bit of water, maybe, none of that gray. I was hoping some of that gray paint would still be usable. So thin. Gonna just reinforce some of the little highlights on this head feather. Oh, I should have broke that line up a little better. And we'll do it on these ones too. The wash isn't even dry, but doesn't matter. All right, so he's got some random terracotta cream feathers. They look fine. And I still never did the eyes, but I'm not doing them. They're too teeny tiny. I could, and I actually said I was going to highlight around the eye, but I'm not doing it. I think they look pretty good without having to worry about trying to dot these teeny tiny eyes. And when I just use the word dot, I just remembered I have to dot every gem with my white ink. I don't know if I want to start that right now. So I have 2 steps left, I think. And that is dot every gemstone with a dot of white ink. And I guess try to shoot this fluorescent pink through the hairbrush. So I think that might be it for tonight. It's 6 in the morning almost. So, and then I got to base them. So I don't think we'll be seeing the Eldar Swooping Hawks on stream anymore. I don't think I'm going to stay up and finish them right this moment, but I'll finish them off stream so we can work on something else. Let me get him out of the way. I don't want any of these guys to break right now that they're almost done. But I've been building the Warcry terrain. So that's going to be some good dry brushing content and weathering. And once we determine how, then we'll actually finish this model and get these runes on his base. But so I got the Warcry terrain, and the thing I'm most excited about, and I got all the monsters Warcry starter set. I'm very excited about these guys. I think this is going to be really fun. Looking at them, it's actually kind of funny that they might be heavily metallic again. Oh man, they got so many chains and spikes and stuff, but hopefully we can get some good streaming content with these guys. The plan is going to be get them all kind of built up, maybe base coated up a little bit, and then maybe do like this girl or a guy, I'm not sure, on their own. Then maybe like 2 of them at a time, one of the last one and one of him at a time, and then 2 and 2. Or potentially 1 at a time, 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 and then all 4 of them at the same time. I don't know the rules yet. I got to open it up and look at the rules, see who's most important. I think this is obviously the leader. This guy you only get 1 of, so I think he's kind of the bruiser. And I think these are kind of your elite troops, and these are kind of your generic troops. So, but I'm going to try to pan them all up to a nice standard. Also, I'll have to check the points, but instead of buying a second box, like I get 3 spears and 1 flail. So I might convert one of these guys into having a flail. So that way I could have 2 flails and 2 spears. And then I get 3 ascended ones and 1 joyous one. So I think I might convert one of them into another one of them. So I have 2 and 2. That way I hope, depending on how the points work out, that way I don't have to buy another box. I don't totally mind if I have to buy another box, but I'm going to have these guys started and worked on long before I get another box. So I'd hate to have like 2 or 3 models that I got to catch up with, I guess. I don't know. We've been going for about 4 hours tonight. Please hit the like button if you haven't already. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. It's definitely more fun to paint with some people. We got some pretty good looking Swooping Hawks. They got kind of that Stormcast Eternal vibe. And I'm very excited to see what they look like once I highlight those coils and those gemstones and put some little tufts on the bases. I think I'll probably do the tufts last after the tufts and the static grass last after the gemstones and coils. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see the finished models. Let's see if I turn off. Let's see if I turn on this light. Maybe a little less reflective. Still hard to see. Turn off all the lights. And there you go. You can't see nothing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I think that's about all the painting I got in me tonight. Might try to glue 1 or 2 more pieces of this terrain together, or maybe just relax, put on something on the YouTubes or the TV and look at my Warcry rules. So as always, I'll try and see you tomorrow. That'll be the attempt. It's usually pretty late. So at some point, I'm going to need to start trying to change my sleep schedule a bit and hopefully be in bed by like 4 in the morning instead of streaming at 6 in the morning. But here we are. Thanks so much for hanging out, Zane. It's always super good for me that I actually have you to chat with almost every night that I paint. So thank you very much. Kyle, awesome seeing you. Take care, guys. Hopefully you got some painting done. And I forgot who was making pancakes, but now I'm going to go make pancakes as well. And by that, I mean just eat whatever's in my fridge. So take care, guys. Thank you so much.